who are willing to join design industry. That's amazing, and which shows that design industry is going to grow in the future, and there will be a lot of opportunities around. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are really benefiting from all these talks, because even though we have a lot of discussions online, unless we have a direct interaction with the people who have a solid experience in the field, I think that makes a lot of difference for people to join in. So thanks again for joining in for the session today.
My pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we usually have a rapid fire round to kickstart the session, just a fun way in which I thought we can get to know you a little bit better. So are you ready for the questionnaire? Are we good to start?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So this is your first question. Work from home or work from office?
Work from office.
Pandemic. Oh, okay. Okay, right. I've been hearing that even in our previous session. So that's interesting. Would it be startups or tech giants, since you're a part of both?
Tech giants.
Oh, okay. Okay. And everyday challenge for a designer?
Knowing users.
Right.
Yeah, because they have diverse mindsets.
Yeah.
They are difficult to know. And yeah. And I also would see convincing product managers, which might be a little debatable topic, but and also convincing engineering teams.
Yeah, I think basically getting all the stakeholders together to
and getting them on the same page is like, that's one of the tough job to do.
Yeah, probably you can address that later in the session from your own experience,
definitely.
how you've been, would love to hear. As a creative, what are 3 items that you cannot live without?
3 items which I cannot live out. I mean, I think my sketchbook and a pencil, and definitely these days I would say my mobile phone, because I interact with a lot of people. So that's one thing. And the third thing, I think I probably will not be able to carry that with me. Though I can access that, is always, my TV. So I have a good sound system, which I like. So after a long day, I probably spend at least 30 minutes watching TV, 30 to 45 minutes watching TVs, and then only I go to sleep. That's very relaxing for me. And that's my way of thinking. Probably people might do it differently, but I do it normally every day. So at the end of my day, I normally spend 30-45 minutes. So I watch movie in parts, like installments. Every day I probably watch 30 minutes. The next day I'll watch 30 minutes.
That's something
it's very relaxing sometimes. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds really nice. And we have another question. What are your rituals to relax? So I think we can add this to the list.
Relax. Yeah. So definitely watching TV is one, and plus, I don't know if people have read my introduction. So I also practice martial arts.
Right.
And sometimes I do practice even during the weekends normally. And yeah, that is very relaxing for me, I would say. Yeah. So those are the things I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. This was
and also I can probably add one more thing. I sometimes go out for a drive, long drives, which is also very relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah. Weather was slightly pleasant, but I think in Bangalore it's getting really hot of late. So not sure
more than being hot, I would say there's a lot of traffic.
Right.
Because of the metro construction happening all around. Yeah.
So my idea behind this question was, as designers, we take so many decisions on a daily basis. So I think people would benefit knowing if there is any specific way that helps in unwinding. But yeah, a drive always does the trick.
Yeah, absolutely. Drive with music, definitely.
Yeah, that's right. And your favorite project till date, is there any project that you still look back to?
It's yet to happen.
Okay. That's a great mindset to continue with. And is there any design decision that you've taken which you regret? Which
Design decision
potentially
I've
had a...
taken. Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't regret that, but sometimes I feel about it. That many years back, during my initial days of my career, so I started my career back in 98, 99. So that time, I was being offered a role as a visual merchandiser in some organization, which is called Madura Garments.
Okay.
Excuse me. So I did just passed out from my design college, and then so I remember one guy came from US to take my interview, and it was a face-to-face round. It was in the Park Hotel in Kolkata,
Okay.
and he told me some amazing things which I still remember. He said that so you're a designer, right? And it's a great thing to achieve that you have achieved a design degree. I never realized that, and I feel that today. So achieving a design degree, and those times I'm talking about 1999 was kind of really,
Going
his words
against
are
the
still
norm.
kind of resonates what you do every day, right? So we are
Yeah.
kind of changing the life of people, right?
Yeah.
We're impacting millions of users across the globe. Yeah, so that is something I sometimes, I'd not say it's a regret, but I always feel that I was always willing to be in the creative industry. And
Mhm.
somehow today I feel I'm in a different industry where creativity is also a part, right? So UX
Okay.
design definitely requires a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one thing I would say.
Okay.
And apart from that, nothing much. Maybe I have to think about it, but
Yeah, I
that
have
is
put you
something at the
on the
top of my
spot with
head.
this question. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that works. And is there a stereotype that people have of a designer which might not be true from your experience that you've seen till date?
Yeah, I mean, these days I've seen that happening. Stereotypes in the sense people directly start concluding a lot of things and they
Yeah,
jump into prototypes, which is not the right way.
right.
I mean, sometimes quickly create something on the paper, and but there's a lot of things you have to do in the background.
Yeah,
Understand the users, understand the problem actually.
correct.
Creating prototype definitely is great way to present things, but you also have to take enough time to understand what you are doing exactly, right? So I think we don't take that time out,
Yeah,
and I understand there are pressures from your stakeholders who run after you to get things done. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that was really nice. Thanks for being a sport. I put you on the spot with few questions, but you answered it really gracefully. So thank you, Alipta. Guys, today Alipta is all yours. Any question you have, just ask. He is super friendly, as you've seen, and really approachable. So fire away. We just have one rule of thumb, which is in the interest of time, which is let's stick to one question per person to get maximum benefit out of the session. And it's totally interactive, so feel free to switch on your cameras and let's humanize this experience as well. Over to the audience. Do you guys have any questions, or I can start off with the questions we received on the Google Sheets just to get everybody, give them time to get their questions. So we have a question from Shreya Das. She says, "Hi, hope you're safe and doing great. Here are some of the doubts that arise, which is how to impactfully research over a topic. So, how to do productive research and how to choose or identify the correct MOB. Please advise me on the same."
What is MOB, by the way?
Is Shreya here? Shreya Das? This is your question.
Yes.
So if
Hello,
you want to
sir.
ask, yeah.
Yeah, hi Shreya, how are you?
I'm doing
Happy
good.
Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, I had started as a graphic designer
Mhm.
past 3 years. So is now running, and I want to switch my career to UX, UI domain. So that's why I need some guidance, some proper guidance over that. So that's why.
Yeah. So what is your question exactly?
Yeah. The question is basically to to guide over the domain. Like it will be a difficult term. Like as a UX or a UI designer, how can we research, or how can we like do the productive research at all?
So I think her question is, if we have a topic to research, we kind of get detracked sometimes and we
What
keep
are the,
researching
yeah,
in different domains. So how do we focus
Okay,
and stay
okay,
on
got
track?
it, got it. So it's more, the question is more towards the domain side of things, right? I mean, she's real. I think as designers, we're mostly generalists, right? We are not
yeah,
specialist in domains, which
yeah,
means that we carry out the same process across every research you do for every domain, right? Now, what you have to do in this case is you have to partner with some domain expertise, and so don't worry about it. So once you land in a company where you have a organized design practice, where you'll also have researchers in that practice, you will also have some domain experts in the form of product owners or maybe business analysts who can really guide you, right? So that guidance
yes,
will help you to identify what exactly you need to research about, right? So I think we designers normally don't get it at domain side of things until and unless we prefer doing that. There are people who are like has been doing healthcare design for many years, and they have got some domain expertise, right? They know the domain very well. There are people who also know about finance, right? Who
yeah,
has been
yeah,
doing finance design in financial industry for many years, so they know a bit of finance as well. So it depends. So either you're placed in a product company or you're placed in a service company where you have to really work with multiple domains, right? So definitely you'll get guidance from your business, product owners, as I said, and also business analyst. And so they will guide you what research you need to carry out. Was I able to answer your
okay.
question, or you have any other doubts?
No, no, all good, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Shreya.
Welcome. Yeah.
Some questions are coming in on the chat. So yeah,
Chat.
Devaki, over to you.
Yeah. Ayushman asks, how do you tackle imposter syndrome?
I was expecting this actually. In fact, this is a very common syndrome across every designer because I see there's a lot of competition happening across this. It's becoming very competitive industry,
Yeah.
design. Back in our days, back in 98, 99, 2000, it was very less people who are into this domain. And yeah, so we are like kind of experts, used to be considered experts in our domain. But as an when time progressed, that a lot of things also got added into the domain. There are different ways to do things. We create a design process, we create a lot of tools. So I think one of the best way to tackle imposter syndrome is what I did. Even I had faced this in some years back. I remember I was in a meeting and there are people are talking. I mean, there are a lot of jargons people are throwing
Exactly.
on the table. Then I realized, well, I don't know about all this, right? What's going on? So
Yeah.
it's a very common thing. I mean, don't be worried about it. It's a very common syndrome across every designers. What you need to do is you continuously learn, right? So that is the only way to tackle this issue. I would say continuously unlearn and keep learning, keep getting into these kind of forums from where you can get to interact with design leaders, and they can really help you understand or clarify a lot of doubts, and then you keep going. I mean, that's the short and sweet answer for this question. I did it that way.
And I have something to add here. I've also seen that people from different domains, when you're talking about a product, since more people are aware of the UX field and understand that it's all based on human interactions, I think everybody has their own opinion of what works, what doesn't, and what looks good, especially, and what doesn't. So in that case, if you're a slightly junior designer in the space, or just someone younger in age, what's the best way to put across your point in such a way that the seniors in the office don't get offended and your point is put across, even though you're the expert, but there are people senior to you? So how would you tackle that?
Sorry, I missed your question. I was looking at some of the questions in the chat.
Oh, no
Sorry.
problem. So I was saying, like, if you're slightly younger in a company and you are the expert in your field and you
Mhm.
give your points across, but everyone has their opinion as to which works better and which looks better.
Mhm.
So how would you still get them to listen to your point of view, since you're the expert? I feel even imposter syndrome comes in here, where
Yeah, I
the
got it.
seniors know better than you.
I think, yeah, I mean, what I can say here is, once you are in a meeting room where we're trying to drive some conversation with your seniors,
Yeah.
I would say you always come prepared for whatever questions they might ask you, right? Which means you have to understand your seniors. I mean, just research about them, understand, do they have domain expertise, and there could be multiple people in the room who might have multiple different skill sets. One might be good in UI completely. They might ask, or one might be good in interaction design, right? Who might be able to ask you, okay, if I click on this particular button, what will happen? How will I get to the next page? And how will I go back to the previous navigation, previous page? So there'll be multiple questions around that. So I think you come prepared. So you have to empathize in that way. You're also so while you are researching, you are empathizing with the users to understand their mindset. The same way, the same model you also use in your day-to-day work, right? Understand the people around you, understand with whom you're interacting with, understand their strengths. So not everybody would have the same strengths, right? In every space. So somebody, as I said, might be good in UI, somebody might be good in research, somebody might be good in information architecture.
Yeah.
So come little prepared, and once your response to the questions what they ask you, or it's not a question, it's normally a discussion session, but if you give them a very convincing response, then you start adding those, you start building confidence, right? So I think that's how you have to start with, right?
Correct.
So that's the short answer I can say.
Yeah. We have a lot of questions here.
Yeah, a lot of questions are coming.
Guys, if you all want to unmute and ask it yourself, that would be easier. The questions are very long.
Yeah, please do that. I mean,
Hi, sir. How are you?
Who's
yeah,
I'm
who is this
Janvi.
brother? Sorry.
Janvi here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Janvi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So my question is, so I'm new to this UI UX field. I'm just learning.
Okay.
So as a newcomer, where should I apply? I should apply to MNCs or startups. Where will I get the more exposure or more learning thing?
I mean, this is difficult to answer, but what I can tell you is it's your individual preference, right? Where do you want to go and start your career? It could be either in a startup or either in MNC. The problem with MNC is, I mean, there are problems in both the sides, of course. The problem in MNC is, you know, there are a lot of applications which come in for a single role, right? There could be
Yeah.
some 200 300 applicant, fighting out or competing for one role, right?
Hmm.
Which means that getting past those 300 CVs, understanding their portfolios is really a tough job for a design manager, especially those hiring managers. So they take a lot of time. For startups, I think another challenge is they look for some domain expertise. Let's say you're going to start in a fintech startup. They might expect you that you have some domain knowledge in either fintech or whatever domain they are dealing with. Let's say it's healthcare, fintech, whatever, right? So they expect some kind of domain knowledge. So I think what you can do, I would say you keep applying to multiple companies, and the moment you grab an opportunity, you take it and start your design journey. So you have to always start, right? I think
Yeah.
if you keep waiting, okay, this is my dream company and I might want to start career from this company, which also happens. I'm not saying it's difficult. There are people who purely pass out from design college and they directly get into these companies, Google, Amazon, whatever, right? Which also happens. But what I would say is, instead of wasting time and getting an ideal job for yourself, you should start getting into smaller orgs and try to leverage the experience what you get there, right? Try to meet people, try to understand the design process, try to do some projects, and then you start applying in parallel with for your dream company.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, start somewhere, start your design journey, and then move ahead in the ladder, right?
Correct.
So
So
so that's my answer. So was I able to
Hello.
answer, Danvi?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello.
hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, sir. I'm a UI UX designer.
Yeah.
I did my course from Designboat,
Mm-hmm.
and I am working at a product company in Pune, and it's been 3 months,
Okay.
and I'm really loving this job
Oh, that's great.
because and I have 3 years of experience in graphic design,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to explore and learn more in design field after
Mm-hmm.
UI UX. So I spoke to Shri Harsha,
Mm-hmm.
and he told me that you can learn micro interactions or UI UX writing or UX research.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think is the best thing to learn after completing UI UX?
Best thing you want to learn, I would say you should go for UX research, right? Because
Okay.
normally when you start a design process, it
Hmm.
starts with research, right? So if you have a good understanding on research, I think that would definitely add value to your portfolio
Hmm.
and also the place you work, because if you can directly talk to the end users and try to do some research initially. So I think research is one field where we still need a lot of people, right? I mean, so if you look at any the composition of a design practice, what happens is normally you'll find always that there are a lot of UX designers,
Yes.
but there are less of UX researchers. What
Yeah.
happens, let's say there are 10 designers, for example, in a company, there will be 2 researchers. So the 10 designers would normally look up for those 2 researchers for any kind of research projects. But if you're a designer and research to an extent, you don't need to wait for the researchers, right, to carry out your research process. You can directly start. Maybe you can take some guidance from those experts, but I think what I would say, after UI UX, your focus area should be research. That's my take, actually.
Okay. And after that, I can maybe go for learning UX writing and micro interactions.
UX writing is a very different field. I mean,
Is it?
every company would have some kind of content team. I mean, that's a very
Okay.
specialized field, right? UX, UI, research, and UX writing. These are like they work together definitely, but UX writing is mostly about designing those what do you call it, error message. Let's say, for example, I'm giving you
Yeah.
what is the best way to write an error message, right? Those goes to the UX writing teams, right? And they kind of align with the company policies with regards to branding guidelines and how can I convey what I'm trying to convey to the end users, like that. So I think that's a very specialized domain. And normally what
And
happens is you not get chance to work on that, right? That will always go to that specialized team where they have to
yeah, where they
put up a
have the
stamp.
expertise. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to put up a stamp. Okay, this is the right way to write an error message and stuff like that. So I think you can really focus on micro interactions. That's definitely. But one thing I would say is focus on interaction design. Okay,
Interaction design. Okay.
design is very important, because I normally see that we all are interaction designers mostly. You try to understand the basics of HCI, human computer interaction. You can try to always define the interactions with an app, right? How is an user would going to interact with an application? So I think if you learn the core of interaction design techniques, that would definitely going to add a lot of value.
And sir, where will I find the best, online courses for these UX research, at least for that?
Okay, you're talking about research, is it?
Yes, UX research.
See, research. I mean,
If you have anything
I've
in
never
mind.
came across any great research course in that way. But you can try out in this popular sites, right? Plural site or whatever. I mean, you can really do that. And one
Sorry,
thing
sir, I missed
I
out that.
keep forgetting. Sorry,
Site, which site?
plural site. I just type it here. I think people know about it. And then you can also try Interaction Design Foundation, where you can get a good grasp of interaction design techniques, IDF.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm writing a direct message to.
That's fine. We can share the link after this session as well. Don't worry. Tabassum, if I
Yeah,
got
I was
it.
talking about IDF.
Yeah, Tabassum.
Yeah. We'll share all the links that's discussed on the chat. Don't worry.
Okay.
Uh,
I want to thank Designboat,
okay.
Devaki Nandini,
Yeah.
that you all have arranged a special question and answer session.
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. No problem. I mean, this was, since we don't have time after every session to interact with the designer directly, we thought we'll have a session to get everything answered. So I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, thanks, Alipta. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hello.
Yeah, Coursera. I keep forgetting this sites. Coursera is one. Plural site is one. There are probably others as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Udemy as well. There are
Udemy,
quite a
yes.
few.
Yes.
If you
Correct,
just
correct.
Google it, you'll find all of it there.
Yeah, we'll find out. Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hello, Alipta. Hi, this is
Hello.
Pooja this side.
Hi,
Yeah, hi
Pooja.
Pooja.
Hi. Happy that I got another chance to talk to you. We spoke before on an ADPList. Yeah.
Mhm.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Pooja?
I'm good. So, I have been working from past 6 months as UX
Mhm.
designer
Mhm.
in Yellow Slice. So, it happens that we get up every day, we start working, and every day we have some task, and every day we know that we are doing this. So sometimes it becomes monotonous. Every day we are doing this, working on a product or something like that. So how can we keep ourselves motivated? Because sometimes we lose that connect as a designer. Also we need some brainstorming sessions. Right now it's working from home, so it doesn't happen that way. So in this scenario, how can we keep ourselves motivated? I would like to know
Pooja,
that.
one thing, I mean, when it comes to motivation, I would say there's no thumb rule, right? It's a very individual choice, right? What motivates you? So if I ask you a question, right, what motivates you?
uh, a good music maybe,
Yeah,
or
so
painting.
you know
Yeah.
the answer, right?
Yeah, but
That
like
is, you know the answer.
in design, I mean, what to read, like some good things to read about or to upgrade our knowledge. Few things.
Yeah, I think, see, I mean, that depends on what you want to read. And see, it's all about how do you want to plan your career, right? I mean, so now design is a very diverse. Even in UX design, there are a lot of things you can do. You can be a researcher, you can be an information architect, you can be an interaction designer, you can be a a design leader, right, who wants to set up teams, build teams. So there are multiple career paths. Right now you have to plan out where you want to go, right? And then probably you have to start focusing on those areas. So if you want to focus on, let's say, research, you probably focus only on those research topics, try to subscribe to a lot of channels and try to read about this research. See, I think motivation is very individual thing. I mean, what motivates me might not motivate you, right? So I think it's a very individual choice you have to make, right? So as you said, music. I also listen to music sometimes whenever I feel it's a very monotonous work I'm doing. And then at the end of the day, nothing works out. Maybe Sketch crashes, or Figma is not working, or I could not save my file, and it's frustrating, right, sometimes. And even if you produce your best designs and it gets rejected by the product owner saying, no, this is something I'm not liking, maybe can you try it one more iteration? Maybe you put up a lot of hard work in creating that particular piece. So it's sometimes very frustrating, definitely. And it happens to everyone, right? It happens to everyone. So I don't feel shy telling that it doesn't happen to me and happens to you. It happens to everyone. So I think those days you take breaks. Take a break. Don't touch your laptop for almost 10 12 hours. I just shut down. I just go in a different mood. As I said, I really go out for a drive, or chill with my friends. Meet your friends. Just call them up. So it works. It works like a magic.
Yeah.
That's my way of thinking. I mean, something might work best for you, right?
Yeah, I think it all boils down to passion at the end of the day. Like, even if you were to talk about design shots, I would love to hear how you came up with starting design
Yeah.
shots and
Yes,
what was
yes.
the motivation behind it as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. That's quite a story, actually. So what happens in when I was in Cerner, before I joined Microsoft, so we used to celebrate this World Usability Day, right, every year. Now, I remember in 2018-19 we did some event because that time we were used to go to the physical office, right? So we did some events, and it was like well accepted by all the teams, and we also felt, okay, let's continue this journey, let's continue this path, right? But then pandemic started, you all were kind of locked up at home, and then you realize in 2020 we also decided what's the best way to celebrate this. So we ideated on a lot of things. We ideated on things like, okay, let's do a poster competition or kind of design thinking workshop, and those are like cliche ideas. Come on, let's do something else. Then we thought, okay, let's do a conference.
Okay.
So this conference actually started from that. The ideation started from that. Then since I was kind of little active in the design community, then I took up a responsibility of reaching out to design leaders to get their time if they can do something for us, right? So I remember 2020 was our first conference. It was a small event, and that was under a different brand called CauseX, right? And I think we donated that entire money to Help Age India, right?
Right.
So you're not making any profits here. So to be very clear. So then our first success of a design conference made us feel, okay, we should continue this, and we want to improve it in the next year. And then started branding ourselves. We thought of a new name, Design Shots.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of time to come up with the right name also. What took the right name for our conference this time? So anyway, so we launched the conference, and I actually used a lot of my personal connects with different leaders. I think Sudhindra B, Alok Nandi, Mayur Chaudhary, these are all my personal connects. They are my good friends, actually. So I spoke to them. They are saying, wow, this is amazing. Garima Mehta. So these are amazing. So she liked it. I mean, all of them liked it, liked the idea of making conference, and they all helped me a lot. And then I also tied up with Designboat, so that I can get people to attend this conference. So it all started like that. And, launching a conference is like launching a product in the market. You need to find out the target audience, whom are targeting to. Are you targeting only, who are just stepping into design industry, or are you targeting design leaders?
Yeah.
So we all ideated a lot about that. And then, and also this time it was like, what is the right price for the tickets, right? So all those pricing strategies, promotion strategies, social media strategies, we really worked hard 3 months before the conferences. So I mean,
A
that was
huge
amazing.
part
So I think
went
we had a
into
great success.
branding.
Sorry.
So a huge part went into branding the event even before the
Yeah,
event
yeah,
actually happened.
yeah. And plus we are all, working in the same org. I did not have, difficulty in arranging this conference. And
Yeah.
we are also meeting every day on a regular basis to plan out things.
Yeah.
And I think next year, not next year, this year, even in the month of December, we are planning to do the next conference, Design Shots 3.0. Definitely, I think we'll get more support from the industry and more people to join in. And I am hoping that this time we'll have a physical conference
Oh, okay.
across. But you're
That
trying
sounds
to.
really interesting. Yeah. Would love to wait and look at where it's going to happen and book the tickets right away. I think everybody should look out for their space. You have a separate LinkedIn page for design shots as well, right?
Yes, 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 yes. We have that.
So, yeah, guys, give it a look and go watch their conferences. I think there was a question about how to build communities as well. So that's answered. I hope that's answered by what Alipta just told us. We have few
Hi,
people
Alipta.
Yeah,
Hi,
hi.
Alipta. Deepak here. Deepak
Hi,
Dhanod
Deepak.
here.
Hi, Deepak.
So, my question is like, you must be hired too many people's like UI and UX designer or UI
Mhm.
leaders. So,
Mhm.
what do you see in their portfolio, or what do you expect from them, or how you choose them best? So, we also must be prepared for that.
Okay, so you are asking about how did I choose the right people for the org,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. See, I normally look at the attitude. Okay, I don't definitely I need some basic skill set to be a part of the team, but what I also look at is the attitude, because I would say that's skill. Whatever skill you lack today, you can always pick up, right? And it is something which you can learn over time. But attitude is something which is really cannot be taught. I mean, it's your own way of looking at things, right? So I always look at the attitude of people, like whether they would fit into the culture of the organization. And so one thing definitely I want to tell you here is today everybody, the entire design community is, I would say all of us, we are never going to be 100% ready to take up a role, right? We'll be probably 60 or 50% ready to take up a role, and the rest 40% or 50% we have to pick up while you're on the job. So what happens is normally some people will give you that chance. Okay, if I feel that okay, this people have right attitude, but he or she lacks some skill set, I can always train that person, right? But attitude is something I cannot, even if I teach 100 things, attitude will not change, right? So I always look at that. That's the most important criteria I look at. And I always try to bring in new set of people in terms of, I always give opportunities to new talents, right? So that is something I've been doing over the past in my previous org. I gave a lot of opportunities to people who really did not have any design background. There are people who came from a very different industry, right? But still I took them, I trained them, and today they are doing well in the org, right? So I just look at that. I hope I was able to answer you. This was a very short answer. Maybe you can,
Yeah,
think of
definitely.
a
Thank you very much,
longer
Alipta.
discussion.
And a second question is related to definitely virtual reality related,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
uh, augmented reality apps and virtual apps.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see the future in India?
It's going to have a great future, man. Metaverse, right? You're going to have a
Yeah, yeah.
great future for designers. So, and the graphic designers who really, so I started my career as a graphic designer, and I always felt that graphic design, during the course of time, it was dying. People are moving to UI UX, and graphic design as a topic, as a discipline, was dying. And I believe that is going to come back soon, because metaverse is nothing. You are just creating a 3D space, right? It's a virtual space you are creating, right? It's a next generation of internet, I would say. So you need a lot of, graphic designers, 3D modelers to create that environment, right? I think that's, so they're going to be huge, potential to grow in the space, and there will be a lot of opportunities for the in the future, definitely.
I feel there's going to be a lot of competition as well as to how
Yes,
skilled you
yes,
are in your particular domain.
absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely. NFT is also part of that. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You. Bestina, do you want to ask your question?
So I want to ask something.
Yeah, I
Hello.
was
Hello.
Sure. Yeah, who's speaking?
Govind. It's Govind this side now. Sir, I'm a graduate civil engineer. I have been worked in the industry for 1.5 years.
Mhm.
Now I am into UI UX. I had like great interest in the product designing and everything. So I just want to ask you one thing. I'm in boot camp, and there is a thing that flushed my mind. That's design thinking.
Mhm.
I think I'm a creative guy. I see world in different perspective, but I don't see like what is design thinking. Like there are no laws about it. Nah? So what you say about it, and what are the kind of drills that can make my normal thinking into a design thinking if I am not having that thinking? So that I want to ask you, what kind of drills you want to suggest to a daily person, that thing.
So Govind, right? So you said you're a very creative person, right? Now, when you say you're a very creative person, how do you define that creativity? Sorry, I'm counter questioning you because I'm trying to understand it better. Because design thinking essentially is a process, right? You are trying to, go through some series of steps to, uncover a problem or define a problem or solve a problem, right? So that's about design thinking. Now, when you're saying that you're a creative person, you look the world in a very different way. What how do you actually do that? What is that you kind of, so normally, what happens from childhood is we read a lot of textbooks, right, in schools, and that really constitutes to what do you think, how do you see the world around you, right? But then if you're saying you're creative, then you might say, forget the textbooks. I don't I get a damn. So I thinking very differently, right? So when you're thinking differently, you're actually, doing design thinking, right? You're actually in that process. So design thinking is more about, a set of steps which will really get you to that path, or where you can solve a very potential problem, right?
Correct.
So Govind, would you like to
Yeah.
answer? Yeah.
Uh, what, sir? What you want to hear from me?
No,
If
so I said that you said you are creative. So why do you think you're creative, and what is
Sir,
making you
being
think that you? Mhm.
sir, being creative, I want to create something out of something.
Mhm.
This is what I mean. Like if you feel something is there, na, like a fintech, like Paytm is there. What
Mhm.
can be the future of Paytm? Where like still I think they made us from pulling out money from the wallet to scanning a code. But
Okay.
scanning a code will also become a pain point after some time.
Okay.
Users don't want to like scan a code. Code
Mhm.
is like you have, if you've been to a real world, barcode is a pain for a shopkeeper. It's a
Mhm.
pain. He always feel pain about it. So I think that thing, I think he makes me a bit of a creative side. I ask them ki भैया क्या फिर क्या है? If you are like really bad with the QR, तो आपको क्या लाके दें कि you feel more odd, है
Mhm.
ना? If that makes sense. So I think he so that like sir, you got into a like a simulation na ki kya ho raha hai, like what is design thinking. So I want to deep down into that
Yeah,
thing.
I got you. I got you, Govind. So when you're saying that you want to solve the problem for the next generation or next sort of things, like which, so our mental models keep changing. The next generation of people who are going to be the potential users for your product, they might have a very different mindset. They might have a very different mental model, right? The thing is, if you don't apply design thinking, you'll not be able to reach there, right? So design thinking is a set of steps which you need to carry out to understand the problem, and then you ideate, right? What is the potential way to solve that problem? So design thinking is just a process. And I think when you said about Paytm, I would definitely say that you really have to get into design thinking, into the shoes of design thinking to solve that problem, right?
I think I have
Yeah.
something to add there. So,
Definitely,
like how
Devika.
you mentioned, we have conceptual models, right, that humans usually follow to execute an action on a platform. And
Correct.
thankfully, we have people who have done research on what works and what doesn't work in our current generation, at least, or in the upcoming 2, 3 years. So, like how I have here, you have UX laws already placed. So, I think it's more about trying to see how you can apply these laws in your product. And the next generation, like you said, will have a different way of executing things. And for us to know that, we have research people doing that research to tell us what is working and what's not. So I think that's another way we can step into design thinking.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to understand the emerging markets or
Yeah,
emerging users, right, the next gen users, you need to apply design thinking. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Deviki, for adding those points.
thank you. um Palak, you can, sorry, Bestina, you wanted to
Yeah,
ask your
Bestina
question?
has been waiting for long. Yeah, Bestina.
Yeah, hi sir.
Hello.
Really grateful for the session. I mean, it's really informative for freshers like me.
Hmm?
So I had two concerns. One was I personally I think there are a lot of people trying to get into the field of UI UX right now.
Mm-hmm.
So when one creates a portfolio, what is one thing we should focus on, which will make us stand out in the crowd? So there are a lot of people working on portfolios right now. So what will be one key point of focus?
Yeah, so good. I mean, this is a great question. Actually, I was expecting this question from someone, but good that you asked, Bestina. So two things, very simple, two things. I've came across many portfolios of designers because I always keep hiring designers in for my team, right? Which allows me to go through a lot of portfolios. What I've seen in these portfolios recently is uh, the portfolio starts normally with defining the problem, right? But then what problem? So a lot of portfolios lack that. So they don't define the problem. So that is the most important part. You should start with defining the problem statement very clearly so that I know that this specific problem exists within this specific target user groups and you are trying to solve that, right?
Right,
That's the
right.
starting point. The last part, once you do all your you do research, you do your design process, you do analysis and all those stuff. The last part is you define the outcome. What has been the outcome, right? If you're defining the problem, you follow a lot of standards approach to solve that. But after you do that, what is the outcome? Was it able to solve the problem for the end user, or it is yet to be solved? So that's the most important thing. So two things: define the problem, define the outcome.
Okay. Another thing, so I'm new to the space, so I want to understand how design teams work. So what are like the different kind of people that you meet in a design team, and how does it all come together?
You're talking about design team, right?
Yeah, design teams in a company.
So see, normally what I've seen as the structure of a design team, there are researchers, there are interaction designers, there are design leaders, right? And there are managers, of course, so design managers who, and there are program managers who kind of, and there's also one new thing which is getting added in every org is the design ops part, right? The design ops manager, the design research ops manager. That is again a very new thing which are getting added. So I think so that's about design team, but you also have to focus on other parts. So design, engineering, and product. So there are three teams together which you have to work with. So that's normally a structure of a design team.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nina. We have one more question here. How do we know the current market in design? So how do we do market research is kind of the question.
Is it specific to your product or you're just talking about the design industry?
Just the design industry, any product you get into, how do you start with researching the market?
No. So Devki, are you talking about how do you start the market research for any product?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. See, this is one thing. So in a typical organization, what happens is, as designers, we don't do market research, right? So market research is something which is already being done by the product team, right? So there are two parts. One is the product, one is engineering, as I said, the other is design. So they all mingle together and they work towards, delivering an experience or a product, whatever you call it. Now, market research is something which the product team already have done, because then only it comes to you, right? So they understand that, okay, if I want to launch a new app in this particular market, I might get a lot of profit, or I might be able to solve a very potential problem for this specific target user groups, right?
I think this is more individual focus. Like if you are maybe doing a project for your portfolio and you want to do something in the finance field, make an app to transfer money. So how do we start doing market research for the same? I think
I think the best way to do is you can really do a competitive analysis of the existing product. That's one way to do it. And the second thing is you can always launch surveys, and surveys can definitely will get you a lot of information about what you intend to gather, of course. And the third thing, definitely you can do a contextual inquiry with people, right? Let's say, and that's very exploratory research. So you don't have a defined problem statement at that point of time. So you talk to multiple people, understand their life, understand a lot of insights, and then you try to make sense out of those insights, and then you create a problem statement out of that. Correct. So that's how you can normally start with.
Yeah. Hope your question is answered.
I hope so. Yeah.
Next question. Okay, we can take Palak. Palak, do you want to unmute?
Hello. So my question is, when there is an app created, apart from making it, user friendly, what innovating aspects of the design can be introduced in the app, or any such, design strategies?
It's a good question. So when you talk about innovation, I think it's also it's a continuous research you have to do, right? So you just now one thing what I've seen is you always get new versions of product, right? So the simple example could be a mobile phones, right? So back in the days we have those feature phones where we have very limited set of features, right? But then today you have a phone which is almost like a computer, almost like a PC. It's a personal computer, right? You can do a lot of things. you can talk to people, you can do office work, right? All those things. You can check your mails, you can respond the important mails, whatever. So I think innovations happens over time, and innovations is something where you constantly do research. You constantly, challenge your product, challenge the status quo, right? And then a lot of ideas get generated. Now the thing is, many companies fail to do research. So remember, Walkman. Walkman doesn't exist now, right? And even Kodak camera doesn't exist now. It was taken over by iPhone or iPad. Now every camera is integrated in a mobile device. There are high-end cams. People are not buying cams these days, right? And then that market is suffering. So I think it happens all over time. So and maybe in the next 20-30 years there will be more innovations coming where you might have smart homes in real time. Today you talk about it. Today we talk about smart homes, or today we also talk about smart furnitures, but it's not, it doesn't exist, right? So you just buy one piece of furniture which might be able to cover all your needs. It can transform to a dining table, it can transform to a bed, it can transform to a sofa, whatever, right? So it all happens over time, right? And that's my short answer to your question, I would say. But what my answer to is, like, always continually research, understand your market, and then you keep adding those features which are relevant to your products.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a lot of raised and raised. Yeah.
Yeah. Arukya, do you want to ask?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. So I'm Arukya, and I'm a chip designer working in Hyderabad. Oh, sorry, that was the train. Okay,
No problem.
so
No problem.
this question is basically on the basis of career and job satisfaction. So I had this doubt. Like, I've heard somewhere that out of 10 UI designers, only 2 can become UX designers. So the question is, like, why is this? And can the remaining 8 UI designers be trained to become UX designers, or is UX design something that you are born with?
No, it's UX design is something you're not born with, right? I mean, this is a new thing. I'm
Because
hearing.
like, I've heard that like people who are more introverted are they go into graphics design, and the people who are more extroverted kind of go into UX design. I heard, because some people who are designers and who are introverts, they don't like to interact with other users. For example, we do a lot of testing in UX, right? So we have a lot of user texting, eye tracking, whatever. So they don't like to be interactive with those, the users. But some people who are more extroverted, they like to interact with the users. So I feel like I belong to the extrovert category. Because currently in my job, I'm always sitting in the computer and building layouts for microprocessors. And I find that job a little bit boring. I want to be interacting with new people and new users, and also discussing. And I'm also a little bit more design focused person.
Yeah. Sorry, Aruka, I actually lost your question in between. I'm listening to a lot of interesting things you talked about, extrovert, introvert.
Maybe I can help rephrase if I got it right. I think he wants to know if you are not inherently an extroverted person, or if can you learn the skills of UX basically? Can someone learn to become a UX designer if they are really good at UI design? Or is that
Absolutely, why
a
not?
rare group of people?
There's no limitation. I mean, see, a team might have a lot of people, right? So they come from different culture, different backgrounds. So some people might be extrovert, some people might be introvert, and that's how a team is formed, right? So every individual in a team, they have a very specific skill sets, right? And I think I remember in my past company, there are many people, right, who are like introverts. So whenever you used to, go for any outings or any kind of, gatherings, social gatherings, they always used to say no, because they are inborn introverts, right? But then we always used to pull them. So the thing is, what I'm saying is, I mean, don't try to, make an introvert turn into an extrovert. So that is probably not possible. They have their own mindset. But the thing is, they are also equally important as a part of the team, right? So they're, I mean, you should always make them feel important when you're in a team setting. So I think it's a myth, I would say. I mean, introverts cannot be a UX designers. Extrovert can only rule this design world. That's a myth. I'm an introvert person in that way.
So, sir, we can say final say is as long as you have that designing mentality, you can become a UX designer. As long as you think in a different way, you can become this UX designer. For example, me, sir, like the way I think is like when I come to my office, there is one building, and I feel that the buildings should be positioned in such a way that when you arrive at 9 o'clock, the sun will hit the building and the shadow will come and fall on the path where the people are walking in order to make their experience of going right into the office very smooth as possible, because they have traveled all the way, they're sweating a lot. At least this journey from the gate to the building should be pleasant for them. So you should position the building in. This is how I think, sir. Like, but
plant
if you
trees.
are, but
I think
sir,
you should plant trees.
yes, sir. But if you were to ask me to like sit in a computer and like make something beautiful, then that's kind of difficult.
Yeah, you raise an interesting point. I mean, yeah, I think there are a lot of talks. In fact, there are many design leaders in the industry who are introverts, right? But then they're always leading people, right? I think it's in skill you have to adopt, right? So, I mean, whatever somebody told you, I would say it's a myth. So it's nothing related to being an extrovert or introvert. So you can be a designer always, irrespective of whatever mindset you carry, right? I think it's a myth, and that's entirely my opinion.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Arokya. Srushti, maybe you can unmute and ask.
Hello, am I audible?
Slightly feeble.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm
Are you saying something? You're not very audible, Srushti. Maybe you want to type in the question or wait till we ask someone else and come back to you. Are you still not audible, Srushti?
how about now?
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. Sorry, sorry about that. I'll just repeat my question again. As a designer, how important is it to find a niche?
Find a niche.
Yes.
How important is to find a niche? Have you heard about T-shaped profile?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have.
Okay, so I think that probably answers your question. So I think in the initial days, when you're a designer, I think you should explore everything, right? I mean, you should explore research, you should explore interaction design, and know how the entire entire design process actually works across industries, across people, across teams. But then over a period of time, what you also have to do, if you want to really focus on being in the T-shaped form, I think should focus on one skill, and then you should master that, right? Either it could research, either it could be people management, it could be in the design leadership roles where you want to build teams and stuff like that. So I think it's important. Definitely, it's important over time. Otherwise, you yourself feel that you're not growing in the industry, right? You'll always feel I'm doing the same kind of job. I'm doing a great job. My boss is appreciating my work, but still I'm not growing. But why you're not growing? Well, you should focus on that one specific skill and then take that path ahead, right? So that's
just to add that again, I think it could be a very subjective topic here, because what would be the ideal period of this kind of transition? I know it's a very vague question.
That's up to you.
Oh.
So you should know, right? You
Yes.
can judge yourself always, right, Srishti? So
Right, yeah.
if you feel that, okay, this is something I'm now confident with, I really don't need to learn so much about it, I can manage things, then you take up the next skill. And that's how every people will do. Everybody in the organization will do that, right? So I remember many years back, I used to do pre-sales in when I was in an IT service company. So I understand how pre-sales actually functions, how that team actually functions. But I don't practice pre-sales these days. But I know the process, right?
Mhm.
So the thing is, that is something you have to be confident with, right? So if you know that, okay, after doing interaction design for X number of years, I'm now confident in interaction design, I should really move to a new chapter of my life. Maybe I want to take up research, or maybe I want to start getting into people management roles, design leadership mostly I'm talking about. So that is entirely up to you to judge when where do you stand in terms of skill sets.
All right, sir. I think that helps. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Ayushman, do you want to ask your question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, who's talking?
So my hand, so is
Okay.
it okay? Shall I speak?
Yeah.
I think we can share screens on this session. It might take up a lot of time. Is there any other question you want to ask?
Sir, my question was regarding how can one value himself based on his portfolio? What does the company look for it, and what should one expect from a company as a fresher?
What you should expect from a company and what as a fresher, that is that your question?
Yeah.
So as a fresher, yeah, the company normally look at whether you have the ability to learn, and that's the simplest thing I would say. So if you are willing to learn, that's how you're actually hired. I mean that's my way of thinking. If you want to adapt yourself, if you want to learn things, new things, you have to learn new skills, then only and that's the only thing new company looks at actually. They don't look at your portfolio, because they know that you're still very fresh in the industry, right? Does it help?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Anita, you can ask your question.
Hi, sir. Ankita this
Sorry,
side.
Ankita.
Yeah. So my question was, how can a designer who's just starting out end up in a tech giant like Microsoft or Google, for that matter?
Oh, that's a very tough question. Yeah. See, it depends. I mean, see, the thing is, if you are really good at what you're doing, definitely. See, I'm not saying companies are bad. Every company is good. Every company gives you an opportunity to learn, grow, and build your career. So I'm not saying X company is bad, the Y company is good. I'm not doing that comparison. But the thing is, you always have that individual choice that where you want to place yourself or where you want to see yourself in your career. So I think that is a choice you have to make, right? There are people who are working in X company, they're very happy. There are people who are working in Y company who is really a tech giant, they're very unhappy, right? So it's a very individual choice. I mean, don't block your mind saying that, "Hey, I want to work for this company," and and if that doesn't happen, then I'm a bad designer or something. Don't get into that imposter syndrome or inferiority that I'm a bad designer. Every designer is adding value to the industry. Every one of you, right? Everyone is doing amazing jobs. So I think continue doing that. Definitely someday you'll reach somewhere, right? But yes, you have to probably plan that out, and that is something you can do. Does that help?
Sure. Yeah, that will
Okay.
help.
So don't what was the right word? I'm not finding degrade, or don't feel bad about the fact that okay, you're not working in Google or Microsoft, whatever, and you're working in a small company, don't feel bad. You're doing amazing job. You're contributing to the design community. You're contributing in building a product, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing thing you're all doing.
Yes. Thank you. That helps.
Definitely.
Sanat, are you here? Do you want to ask your question?
Hello, sir. This is Sanat speaking.
Hi, Sanat.
First of all, thank you for giving your time to us, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.
My question is how to impress the stakeholders, development team with your ideas. From your experience, can you tell us some strategies, ideas, or ways to impress the stakeholders so that they say no to your ideas?
Who are the stakeholders, Sanat? When you say stakeholders, who are these people?
The management team, the CEO.
Okay. So as I said, I mean there are two set of people who might, as a designer, whom we normally have to, create impression, right? One is the product team, the product management team, and the other one is engineering team, right? And we always have these conflicts whenever you get into these kind of meetings, like, okay, this is possible, that is not a part of design standard, this is not a design pattern. Product team might say, okay, this feature is more important than it. So there are a lot of n number of things happen in this meeting. The thing is, what my way of looking at this is, I always come very prepared for these questions, right? And this is something I already covered. So I always come very prepared, and so I kind of gaze and so what kind of question might come up in these kind of meetings. So I prepare accordingly. I always have have those design rationales why I'm using this on top of something else, right? And I just keep on passing this message. And definitely at the end of the day, I always feel that UX always wins, right? Because ultimately we are the advocate of users, right? You always have a high chance to win, right? Provided you're doing it right. You have the right justification for your designs. And that's my short answer to your question.
Thank you.
Himani, if you're here, you can ask your question.
Hi, Devakanandni. Hi, Alpita. Good evening.
It's Alipta.
Okay. Good evening. So my question is, it's simple that I just wanted to know, when we are presenting our portfolio in front of the recruiter where we have applied for. So what should be the approach? How should we present our portfolio in front of them so that it is easier for them to assess us? So what should be the approach or strategy so that it becomes simple and very clear?
Storytelling.
Okay.
Simple. Create a story out of your portfolio. Don't just show. Don't just create that linear path. Okay, I did a research, I created personas. After that, I created some prototypes, and then these are my final vision. So it's so normally I've seen portfolios have this linear approach, but you can always get out of that, right? So you as a designer, you are the biggest influencer, right, in the society. That's what I feel. So try to influence the person who are around you. So to influence that, what I see, break the normal, right? So try to build a story. Try to say, okay, so try to bring a persona first, saying that, okay, this person on a certain day might have faced these issues, and then that prompted me to think in this direction, and maybe I could ideate about a product out of it. So break this normal, break the normal, and try to create storytelling approach. That definitely helps, and it works out always. Does that help, Imani?
Yes, as a call. Yes, really. Thank you so much. I'll definitely be using this approach of storytelling. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, Ayushman, you can ask the question.
Hello, sir. My question would be,
At when should you start applying for internships or jobs? Like uh, when does the self-analysis end that, okay, I have done plenty of work and now I can apply for internships? I'm a college going student. I'm in my second year. So this is especially relevant to me because I find that I'm in a dilemma of applying for internships or learning more. There's a term called tutorial hell. You continuously feel that you are lacking something and you cannot apply there. So when would be the right time to apply for internships
So I think
for college students?
The first thing, Ayushman, you have to get out those negative thoughts that okay, you are really not ready. As I said, you will never be 100% ready for anything. So every designers, they always take out new challenges every day because we don't know our users, right? We create something. Sometimes there are situations where you don't know end users. We had conceptualize something based on our understanding of things, but that's not the right way. Definitely you need to do research, but what I'm saying is we are never 100% ready for anything, be it design, be it any work you do, right? So now the thing is, when did I thought of joining a martial arts school? I'm going back to my experience.
Yes, sir.
I was never ready, right? But I still joined it and then I learned it. So there's no right time. I think I think that is something you have to very start judging yourself that okay, and the thing is, what I would say, that if you like to do something, go for it. So don't wait for the right time, right situation, right place. That will never come. So if you feel that okay, I want to take up additional responsibilities while I study in college, I can devote some additional time, go for internship, start applying, right?
Nice, sir. Another follow-up question to this would be, sir, from where do you get your skills analyzed? Like you do UI designs, you do a lot of things in UX. How do you from where do you get your uh, for example, your designs analyzed? Because uh, this is true that every website has a trending page or other pages, and we new users feel very it's very competitive, and there's a lack of feedback on those websites. So what would be the correct way to get your designs maybe analyzed or maybe get some feedback on it?
See, design feedback when you join any organization, there's a process called peer reviews, right? So your design gets analyzed by either your design leads or your peers or your product managers, engineering. So then only you'll feel that okay, you're probably on the right track. I mean, there could be multiple iterations, right? There could be hundreds iteration on the designs, but with small incremental steps, you always feel that okay, you're on the right direction. So this is design is it's never ending, right? You cannot say okay, this design is done, right? I mean, it's a continuous process. So so to answer that question, what I would say is peer reviews is one thing. So get your work reviewed by other designers. That's how you get to know that whether you're on the right track or not.
Right, sir. So I've seen this trend lately that every company wants 2-3 years of experience when you go to the job listing. And for us freshers, it looks very difficult when applying because there are very less job postings in UX. Like for internships, when you search on Google, most of them are bogus. Like they are on websites that they mostly scam you and they're not good. Like for example, Microsoft does this MS Design Challenge. I participated in it, but I was not eligible because I'm graduating in 2024. So I got disqualified, but I did submit my submission. I did submit it. So how do you find good job postings, and how do you like go through this process of applying? Like, do you directly go to and approach someone that I am interested in applying for a role in your company, or you only apply on job listings on websites like LinkedIn, etc.?
See, Ayushman, this is a tough one for me because you know I was not, I never did internship in my design career. Yeah, so my initial job was like a full-time role. The thing is, what I've seen, I mean, you are correct probably to some extent that there are companies who offer internship positions, but maybe when you land up in the job, you'll feel that okay, probably this is not something you're expecting. That happens with many aspiring designers. I've seen people talking also with me on that topic. So I think you have to really research the company and talk to your friends, find out if you know someone about that company. If you also find out if they have a Google listing and stuff like that. And I know Google is probably, the I can say the best way to judge things, right? I mean, if Google stamps on something, definitely you feel that okay, this is probably authentic, right? So I mean, those kind of things you can probably do, uh, but there's no formal way to get into the right kind of things, right? So I think you have to probably research out properly and then land up something where you intend to. I mean, I don't have
Right, sir.
much insight on this, but as a basic, you can do this bare minimum, right?
Right, sir. So, sir, when, for example, there is a
cut you off. I think we have addressed 3 of your questions. We should
yes, ma'am.
ask,
Yes.
allow
I'm
the
sorry.
others to ask.
It was a wonderful
So sorry.
session. It was very fun. I'm looking forward to many more of these sessions. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ayushman.
My pleasure.
Tenzin, you can.
Thank you. Finally, actually, I have just put the question in the chat. There is a big celebration happening outside my house. I think the drums is, yeah, so no problem. Any which way, I'll just ask this question directly. I think more conversational. So actually, this is a bit of technical, Alipta. So it's about the user testing and usability testing. So it's like something by definition or by a purpose, both are doing the same. We are just product. But when we just go into the session, we just put a disclaimer. I mean, kind of like acknowledgement saying that we are testing the product, not the user, during the time of the session. And however, when customer might have heard or have the knowledge about it, when you say user testing, it's kind of create bias already. I mean, like they're kind of just testing me indirectly. Somehow I have to prep myself and yeah, be a good, I mean, user just to say pleasing things about the product. So how does it play out? I mean, maybe I'm not much.
आपको खाना थोड़ा बनवाना है?
Govind, can you please mute yourself?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No
Yeah, sorry.
You kind of understood my question. Actually, it's like kind of struggling what we are saying to the user before the starting session and what we are kind of doing in real time. We're testing the product to the user, but we are saying it's we are testing the product and not the user. But the activity name itself is a user testing or some user testing. Are these two are same kind of? I can't just.
Yeah, I mean, see, Tanzin, I think these are kind of interchangeable words. I mean, some companies might have terminology like user testing or usable testing. I think, I mean, don't limit yourself with these keywords, right? I mean, there could be multiple jargons which might stop you, but it should not actually stop you from getting what you want to do. So I kind of did not get your question. So are you saying? Are you asking the difference between user testing and usable testing, or how is it? Because I feel, from my opinion, these are mostly same, right? And these are used interchangeably in some orgs.
I think I understood the question. What he's trying to say is we call the act of testing if the product is working or not as user testing. But when we when we call participants to do the user testing, we tell them, don't worry, this is us testing the product and not you as a user. But the term is called user testing, which some users might feel like maybe they're testing me, if I'm able to use the product or not, and if I should be prepared before coming for the test.
Yeah, that's the thing. Actually, kind of creating prejudgment already. Even
I mean, it's simple. Don't use that term, right? It's simple.
Yeah.
Just call it an UT. Just call it an usability testing. That's it.
Yeah, I think usability
I mean,
testing is makes more sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, just have these thoughts running in my mind sometimes.
No problem.
Glad you asked.
Yeah. Thank you. A lot of interesting questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else want to ask, or I can pick questions from the Google sheet that we sent out?
Yeah, hi, Alipta. I have one question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I have completed my internship in one early stage startup. So I am a furniture designer turned UX designer. So in most of the early startups, like we don't follow the whole process of user research and then do wireframe, like a information architecture. The whole process is not followed anyway. So when I'm attending any of the interviews, they are asking for, like, they're expecting us for the whole, like what the process I follow, and like if you what kind of user research and all those I do. So that's not actually happening in very early stage startups. So like, how can I tackle those questions is my question.
I got it. So it's Salman, right?
Salma, yes.
Okay. So Salman, the thing is, there's nothing called as whole process. So your process is kind of tweaked based on your needs, right? So if you talk about the design process, there are n number of things you can add to the process, but you are not probably doing all of that, right? You have to pick up what is important or relevant for your project, right? Okay. And I think most of the companies, as you rightly said, we don't follow the whole set of process. I mean, it will take years, right, to deliver one product then, right?
So we do it in sprints, and like most of the, even if it's an very early stage startup, they expect like all these process, at least we should be aware of these process. So I don't think we have those exposures in our
can you name few, I mean, what are the process or what are the things your recruiters are actually expecting from you?
So like you even user research, like when I did my internship, there were no user research as such. Like we get the task, and like we analyze it and we start wireframing. Like there weren't that much of time to do the user research as a proper step. So like
no, so the thing is, I got it. So the thing is, if you're not doing user research, you are doing a crime actually, you know. Okay, so at least try to do some minimum research.
Yeah,
Maybe.
there are, like, we do competitive research, like
Correct.
Those things
Correct.
are no, but like it won't be like an interview or a survey. Those processes won't be followed, right? So that's what I was explaining, like
Got it. So there are two types of research: primary, secondary. So what you have essentially done is a secondary research by understanding what is the competition, understanding maybe collecting data from the internet about people's mindset about the product what you're trying to build. But the thing is, yes, sometimes primary research becomes important. And so what you can ideally do, you can probably talk to any of your friends, right? Or take a quick interview, right? About, okay, so I'm trying to build this product. This is something I have an idea. What do you think about it? Maybe, and you can pick up a lot of insights from that conversation. Okay. So if you really want to do primary research, there are ways to do it. That's what I'm saying. So talk to your friend, even talk to your parents or talk to your family. So let's say if you're trying to build something for a kids product, right? Product for kids, right? So talk to any person from your locality. Randomly pick up someone. right? So
Yeah, I think that's very important.
exactly.
Because like they say, you are not your user, so you might be biased in the decisions you take. I think talking to
Absolutely.
one or two other people will help.
Got it.
Even if you talk to one people, that will also help.
Correct.
Normally it says 3 to 5 as
Mhm.
per as per Nielsen. But even if you pick up one or two, that will definitely guide you.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Thanks. There's a question here from Arun. So he asks, on what factors should we use or omit certain research tools for a process? So for example, say a user journey map or like a customer journey map.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked, what are the factors we should omit in certain research tools?
What are the factors you should omit? Okay. So I think,
Yeah.
this is very subjective to your product. I mean, there's no direct response that you have to pick up this research for this product. So let's say you're trying to, understand. So that again, research are also different types, right? So there is, you just want to do an exploratory research, or you want to do an evaluative research, summative testing, formative testing, stuff like that. And so the thing is, what do you want to achieve out of your research? That's very important. So let's say you want to achieve time on task, right? It's a quantitative technique, right?
Okay.
So qualitative, quantitative. So those are also different aspects of research. So if you want to pick up time on task, you should use quantitative method. But if you want to understand the behavior of users, you have to probably go for surveys or direct face-to-face interviews, focus groups, stuff like that. So always depends on what product you're handling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, most of the others are pretty repetitive. Is there anyone else who wants to unmute and ask? Or probably we can wrap the session.
I'm really sorry. One last question. Last question. I just put in the chat. All right. Well, the question is, Alipta, so based on your experience, so you have accumulated, so much of experience so far, and just wanted to understand from individual perspective about the participant recruitment for the user study. So my question, if actually I just have one question, the question comes in two ways, but let's try to, ask the first question. It's about if we are doing a personal project or somebody who's just getting into the research or some other roles to build a portfolio or personal project or do a case study. And we have to do those interviews or some other research techniques to understand, to uncover the problem, the pain and needs, right? So in order to do that, how can we recruit the participant to minimize much bias as possible? And also recruitment itself is a big task. And if we put so much of screeners, and it kind of restrict us to get the participant, maybe it goes down to 1 to 0 sometimes. How can we overcome that? And what's your, do you have any other way of, some out of the box thinking so that we can just do this studies quite often?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. So normally what I used to do, before even recruiting participants or before even having a direct one-on-one conversation, I normally put up a survey link. First of all, I'll create a survey, and in the survey, there is also one more question which I add. So if you want to give us more insights on this, so can I directly reach out to you, right? So that definitely helped us to create a set of user groups. So I think I was recently working on one project where we launched a survey to understand few things about a product ideation, about a product idea, I would say. And then you also ask this question, okay, if you can you spare some time with us so that we can understand more, right? And 35 people actually said, yes, we are ready to help you. So I think, so Tenzin, one thing, you also have to be a part of this larger design community where there are people who are ready to help you, right? There are many people who are really also ready to support you in any of your initiatives. So be a part of this community, larger community, and just just post what you need. There will hundreds of response coming in, coming on your way. That's what I would say. So I think ADPList in that way is a great community to be in. Right.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Do we have time to take any more questions?
I can probably take one or two. Yes.
Okay.
Apurva, I think raised a hand. Yeah.
Yeah, probably that can be our last question. Apurva, you want to ask?
Yeah. Hi, Alipta.
Hi.
Actually, my question is, I am working in an MNC as a UX designer, and the process that we follow here currently, mostly that we get the requirements from the stakeholders. We do some internal research around it, come to the solution, and work on the designs. So, if my question is, so if we are stuck anywhere in our designs, and want to get to a solution, and we don't find any solution because since we are working as a sole designer for the project, so how to decide what research methodology should we apply there, and how to convince the second question is how to convince these stakeholders, because there are most of the times estimations already done for some amount of work or user stories, if we say. So we don't have time to do that much. So how to decide how to convince that to stakeholders?
Yeah, I'm coming to the convincing part. See, Apurva, I think as designers, you have got superpowers, right? So use a superpower to convince your stakeholders. And I know sometimes it's not very simple. I know stakeholders might say, okay, I think I have a delivery to be, scheduled delivery on this date and you have to deliver things. But yes, but I believe use your superpowers at that amount of time. Involve your, seniors or, practice heads or director level, executive level, design directors and that one. So because what you're doing is the right thing, right? So nobody can stop you in that way. I know. I mean, sometimes you have to create that balance, right? Okay, where you might have to end up, also listening to a stakeholders because they are very important. The thing is, try to create that balance. But I always say, convince your boss. I mean, whom you're reporting to, or further up the ladder, whoever is heading your design practice. So talk to that person directly, saying that I want to do this research. Can I buy some more time from the stakeholders? As simple as that. So that's the superpower I'm talking about. Use your superpowers to create that. And the second thing is the second part of your question is what method, right? Now the thing is depends on your project. I mean, what I always normally do, I involve my research team to identify what is the right method they can do on this time. Because what happens is sometimes if you want to do a user testing or usability testing, right, in that front, in that limited time, the first thing it would take normally 2 to 3 weeks to do that entire process, recruitment, and then it will create prototypes. That prototype has to be validated. It will go to the end user for further testing. It takes normally a month time. You don't have the time. But what you can do, you can put it be a quick heuristic review, very quick and dirty method to do research, but you can still do that. So that time, what you were talking about, it's going to entirely depend on the research team, what they want to do, or how much they can do in that time period. So you don't take a decision, you involve your research team and let them take a call, right? What's the best way to handle this? That is something I always do.
Yeah, but in the case that if we are the only designer in a project and we don't have a separate research team,
then you should change your company. Just kidding. So I think that is again very subjective to your product, right? Or project that you're doing. So you have to decide how much time you need. So if you want to do some secondary research, some heuristic evaluations, then take that time and do appropriately what is possible.
I think most of the questions are targeted to what to put on your own portfolio. I think like individual projects that you do for portfolio's sake before you go for an interview. So I think it was from that perspective, if I'm right.
Is that so?
Has she left? Okay.
Yeah, no, not only from the portfolio perspective. I mean, but kind of your own experience as well related to the methodologies, and also from the project perspective. Like if we want to give our 100% as a designer for the product, and we are not able to do that.
Okay, got it. So was I able to answer your question, Apurva? Or maybe if you want to take out
Yes.
some time after this call, maybe we can meet. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have come to the end of our session. So thanks a lot, Alipta, for being so patient in answering all our questions and interacting with all the design enthusiasts. It's much appreciated from ADP and Designboat.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah. And thanks everyone for joining in. I hope you got a lot of value from this session. And you can always reach out to Alipta through ADP or through LinkedIn or any of the other platforms. I think Alipta would love to hear your feedback on the session. And if you have more questions we couldn't cover in the session, please reach out to either of us and we will address that. So thanks a lot, everyone. And thanks again, Alipta, for being with us today.
Thank you, guys. It was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.